sanding today, because what's better than sanding? Just adding wax to the bottom of the shafts. Hey, Deanne, welcome in. How are we doing today, bud? Now we're going to check the balance on each individual arm. Hey, thanks a lot for the picture, by the way. I appreciate it. I'm doing good. I woke up, well, I went to bed earlier. I think it was like 8:30 or 9. And I woke up at like 5:30 and decided I was going to walk to work. So I walked to work this morning. Got in, did a bunch of quiet stuff until, it was after 8. And then Vicky strolls in. Yeah, just make a note and I'll make more. Okay, not a big deal. Okay. Alright, we'll work on it. So we're sanding now, so we're making it smooth. This is a flap sander. And we're rounding over all the edges as well. So these are actually going to be laser engraved on the top, and then I'm going to sand them again. So this is a primary sanding job. And then there'll be a light sanding after this. Yep, so I'm spinning each individual arm by itself. And if it starts bouncing around, then we're going to balance them. So those two are both fine, so we'll put them together and try it again. It's nice. So Vicky has a newer sander. I bought her a little disc sander, and then I converted it into, I put a chuck on it so she can use it for this. Is it Nazmi? Hey, welcome in. So these are 5/8" cherry. So she's got variable speed, so she could change the speed on her sander. This was actually my grandfather's. He was a carver. Did a lot of birds. And when he passed, this was the one thing I wanted. So, good way to remember my granddad. I'm sure he'd be very happy that, you know, it's still being used. Morning, Mike. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. Exactly. Could probably use a once over. We'll see if we can hit the bearings. A little better. You know, it's just an old, you know, blower motor. So after hitting it with some dry lube, yeah, the bearings are probably going a little bit on it. It's a little quieter now. This should at least quiet it down for the stream. And then I have an exhaust right there. Right, yeah, it's not too crunchy. But it definitely was a lot louder. So yeah, growing up, this always had rasps, power rasps on it. Big old burrs. Hey, M, welcome in. So we're just sanding it and then rolling over the edge. It's nice and smooth. Hey, honey, welcome in. Well, you know, it's almost 10 o'clock here. Yeah, life's pretty rough here in the Spindle factory. I'm sitting on my butt on a flap sander. So, see if I can take this off. Yeah, nothing wrong with the slow start. So I just have the phone on a microphone boom stand, and I'm watching ghost stuff. If we scroll over, so Vicky's sanding null binding needles right now. So I took a 5-inch disc sander and then ordered a Jacob Chuck support so we can use it as a flap sander. Oh, stuff. So I'm over here a lot, so I'm actually behind the lathe, so the lathe is there. It's not so bad. I'm not sure. Honey, which show is this? Which show is this? Yes, it is Destination Fear. They all start blending together. I used to work with Zach Bagans, and then I was smart enough to get the hell away from him. We're just using his production company, that's all. So 3M stopped selling these wheels probably about 7-8 years ago. Right? It's been a long time. We hoarded all the ones. When they'd start wearing out, we'd put them away. And then we'd come back and then we'd cut the worn part of the sandpaper out towards the center. These used to be for woodworking, and they were like $5 a piece. They still make these, but they make them for welding, and they're like $35 a piece. So these work okay. These are from Amazon, I believe. They're all right, but I really prefer these. So I get a relatively nice finish off the scroll saw. So a couple light passes and we're done. I mean, yeah. Well, the whole deal is we want to, round over all the edges. I've gotten some of the bigger grinding wheel discs that work okay. Like, this style isn't horrible, but I prefer that. So I just got I got a conversion kit. So instead of putting it on a grinder, I have it on a shaft. So I got into this style of sanding. I used to make a lot of wooden toys. So you want to make sure you round over all the edges. So my standing station over here, I'm going to be rebuilding, reorganizing. So I have these together. So I have, the disc sander, the same as Mickey's, but I still have it as a disc sander. And then I have the spindle sander, and it also has the oscillating belt sander on it. They work okay. And the next room over, I got the drum sander and all that stuff. So Vicky's little station gets a lot more work than mine does. She does the majority of the sanding. it all depends on what you're making too. And my random orbital I keep over next to the chop saw. I just don't have any table space for it over here. Plus it's much higher. So I mentioned this earlier. So these are going to be laser engraved on the top, and then I'll do a light sanding over when I'm done. Well, probably a good idea. I think I got a pile of maple ones in the other room, if I'm not mistaken. I'll look later. I've been doing a lot of walking around when I should be sanding. Yeah. Okay. I think we got. Let me look in the back room.
There's enough here to.
Yeah, we'll go for a voyage in the back room. We're making drop spindles. These are Turkish style, but we're gonna go on a hunt. I think I have some needles in the back, if I'm not mistaken. I thought they were back here. Well. No. But we do have some ducks. Yeah, I thought they were back here. I thought I had a gallon-sized bag full of needles. Huh. Well, if it doesn't turn up, I guess I'll just have to make more. It's not as big as I thought it was, but there's definitely some in there. Honey?
Oh, cool. Awesome. Okay, good. Good. Cool.
Yeah.
Alright, I'll throw those in with the other ones.
Alright. Check on the printers while we're walking through. Because ghosts. Dragons are okay. We're doing another 100, and I think there's 108 blue sheep. So we're running out of filament here. That's why we're using this little printer. So instead of making a whole bunch at one time, so these we're making over 100 at a time. This one we make 6, but we're making them 1 at a time. So it'll make a sheep, make a sheep, make a sheep. That way, when it runs out of filament, you will have one that's not quite right. Other than, rather than having 108 that are not going to be good. So we'll get that going. All right, we'll get back to work. All right.
We got enough to match some light. That's awesome.
Good. Ghosts. Ghosts. Ghosts.
They're everywhere.
Ghosts. These ghosts. They're everywhere. Alright. I knew there was some.
Cool.
Right? You're welcome. I brought him back there because I was going to throw him in the tumbler.
Oh.
But now the tumbler's in here. So. The vibrator? On the big metal rack against the wall? On the bottom?
Oh, dude.
Dude.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah, I completely missed that.
Ghosts are real. What do I do for a living? I make these. I'm a spindle maker primarily. I'll do some other fiber tools as well, but yeah. I'm very blessed to be able to do this. Yeah, so I've been making these full time. I've been doing it for 13 years. Prior to that, I worked in factories for almost 20. I think it was a little over 18 total. This is the first time I've been sanding on stream, I think, ever on this channel. Normally Vicky does most of the sanding. But she's been working on taxes, so I'm not going to complain. Yeah, if you do a lot of like power sanding, getting these cleaners are amazing. It's basically like a big eraser, but it does a very good job of cleaning all the garbage off your belts. I kind of fell into this. So I was on Etsy. I started on Etsy in 2008. I was making a lot of wooden toys and signs. And somebody asked me to make them a spindle. They used to be able to chat. Your boogers. Yeah, Etsy used to have a chat, and yeah, one of my friends in the chat wanted one, so I planned on making one, and then I wanted to make sure it worked. So I went to my local yarn shop, and they taught me how to spin, and it kind of went on from there. So I kind of fell in love with spinning. It was just amazing. So after I made that one and I started spinning, I'm like, okay, I should maybe sell a few to pay for my supplies for my fiber arts, rather than try to take it out of my family money. And I started selling these for a few months, and then I was laid off. So I started doing this rather than looking for a different job, and here we are. Like anything else, it takes a while to build up a reputation. First couple of years are very lean. Definitely boogery. It definitely helps you get some more life out of your sanders, though. It only takes a couple seconds. So, yeah, my career is making some relatively teeny tiny small things, and I'm okay with that. We do sell at festivals, so we'll go on the road, and selling little things is great. Because I have a Ford Transit Connect, so I've got a very small van. Pack it full and away we go. I don't have to pull a trailer. Nice. Hey Juan, welcome in. Hope you're having a great day. So you can see how it's kind of off color. So you can see all the garbage on there. So just that little bit was able to remove all the built up sawdust on the sandpaper. So So yeah, I'm running it through my hands. I'm feeling. Not too much. It gets warm. My finger. Yeah, so this is a fine grit. How many do I have to sand today? I'm probably going to do maybe 50. We'll see. I'll probably switch between this and the scroll saw today. Although I did get some more doweling in yesterday, so I could do the lathe as well. Do I use a spindle? I do. I do spin yarn. I really like Turkish style drop spindles. There's something about them. Yep, that's a good one. So yeah, so I'm checking for balance. I do have a balancing procedure. I don't show them if something's not balanced. I'll set it aside. I do share a lot of my processes, but I can't share everything. I'm like MacGyver. I got to leave one step out. Yep, so these are made out of cherry. After I'm done with these, I think I got like, I don't know, less than a dozen of these, and then we'll go grab some more exotic woods. I just want to get these ready for laser engraving. Hey Lily, welcome in. So yeah, I woke up I think at about 5:30 this morning, and then it's like I kind of itching to get into work, so I actually walked to work and left Vicky the van. Servers. Hey P, welcome in. I'm not sure what you mean by servers. Is there a server? That's helpful. Yeah, these feel really nice. So, you know, I got all the ghost stuff going on. This just feels like a very confusing EVP session. Yeah, so these will have laser engraving across the top of them. It's going to have a very Turkish motif going across. So these are going to be sanded a second time after this. Just a quick little once over just to clean up all the residue left from the laser engraving. Hello, Brazil. Welcome in. Hope you're having a lovely day. I'm still in morning mode. So we are sanding these. We got a little flat sander on here. How much is my bill for electricity? I am not actually sure. Hey, honey, what do we pay for electricity on average here? All right. So our electricity here is between $250 and $300 a month. And that's not, does that include the heating? All right, and that also includes the heating, and it's winter, so. All right. Yeah. So that includes our gas as well. And yeah, we do have winters here, so. Yeah. So that'll drop considerably now that spring's here. And we do not have air conditioning in here. So it'll get a little warm in here in the summer for a couple days. If it gets too bad, I will do a lot of finishing work in the basement. We got some paste wax here. So when I make the shafts, I put paste wax on, except for on the bottom here where I cut it off, and then we just put it on in the step. So I'm thinking about encasing this kind of like 5-gallon bucket in here. And then the exhaust on the side. I mean, we're in a workshop, so a little dust here and there is not a big deal. I mean, having the exhaust right here does take care of most of it. So this is the last one of these, and then we'll go get some exotic woods. Saying some pretty stuff today too. Hey Silver, welcome in. Alright, so these are ready for laser engraving. So I think we'll get the laser engraver going. It's just not a straightforward. It's got a bunch of setup procedures in order to laser engrave on the curved surfaces. So, hey, welcome in. Gordon, welcome in. So let's find something pretty to do. Okay, yeah, when they're done laser engraved. That's what we're putting on the top. And these need the little sanding after. So we'll grab these. Am I using Lightburn? I am not. I'm using the studio that comes with Xtool. Just because it's got a bunch of features. You might be the only Albanian person in here. Or I could be wrong. I'm not sure. Yeah, it just seems like with Xtool, they kind of build everything into their software, and so some of the features only work with their Creative Studio. They are Lightburn compatible. I mean, I could. So we're gonna start out with some Purple Heart. Just watched a video from Louisiana hobby guy about a new website for processing photos for the laser. That's cool. Kind of an AI, kind of just upload and then download. So, Purple Heart is challenging to power sand. it does like to burn. What I mean by that, if you just leave too much pressure, or it'll leave a very dark black line. Huh. The only thing I don't like about the Xtool Creative Suite, or whatever the program is called, is if you want to do anything like with their AI, you have to use points. So you have to buy points in order to do it. I would rather just pay, X amount and be done with it. Hey, N, welcome in. Hey, Em, welcome in. So this is Vera wood. Sometimes it gets very dark green. This stuff is very yellowish. Very hard. Same thing with that quick, yeah. And I don't use a lot of their features. They've got a whole kind of storefront, kind of like Thingiverse, where you can download projects and stuff. And they're building up their own little community where people can charge for their files. That's not my thing. I get it. It's not my thing. Yeah, but how many credits does it cost to do anything? So this Vera wood is very similarly colored to like Canary, just weighs a lot. Oh, it's 100 credits, that's not so cool. Yeah, if it does its thing. Yeah. Yeah, when I get back from these shows, I definitely have to schedule some time in to play with my CNC machine. I make enough money with it to pay for itself, but yeah, I'd like to get better at it. So you're fighting with an image you made, trying to get it engraved correctly. Yeah, sometimes I swear machines have a mind of their own. Correctly with the laser, yeah. And then you watch the laser, and it just does a bunch of the most illogical movements. Like, what's the software doing? You know, when it has to make a laser circle, it might do like a quarter of the circle, and then go across the project, do something else, come back, do a little more. It's like, just finish it. Hey, P, welcome in. So, black walnut. So once I put the oil finish on this, the stuff gets so dark. So pretty. So these are medium gliders. The glider's just the model name. So kind of the swooping arms. Because they feel like they just glide through the air. I never said I was good at naming things. Now, if we put the hole over here, we could have a mustache on a stick. Which could come in very handy. One's hard maple. So let's see. Mike says CNC's lasers are milling. Do one thing that is great and scary all at the same time. I would agree with that. They'll do exactly what you tell them to, even if it's driving right through the bed. Yeah. They don't care. It's the G code. And with the CNC, sometimes I think the Shapeokos have problems with static, where they'll just kind of get lost. And they don't know where they are. I really need to get a grounding, get some wire and ground the exhaust hose. If you don't mind, how much do you invest in products for each show? Hey, Miles. As far as materials go, Or like how much dollars in physical product do I bring? That's kind of hard to guesstimate. Well, when I do a show, I want to make 10 times what I pay for the booth. So if I pay $600 for a 10 by 20 booth, I expect to sell at least $6,000 worth of material product. But I also want to bring about twice as much as I think I can sell. That way I will have, a surplus of some spindles, but you never know what's going to be popular. Let's say one show, this style here is going to be really popular. I'm going to sell a lot of them, so I don't want to run out of the style. But at the next show, they might not sell at all. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to sell out. Fight the power. But, am I going to bring, $12,000 worth of inventory? If I have it, yeah. Now, the next show coming up, it's not a super busy show. So I have very low expectations, but it's closer to home. Hello, Jose from Brazil. Welcome. So I might not get to the 10 times. But it's only, about an hour away. So and since it is only an hour away and it's just a week, 2 days, I'm not going to shut down the stores or anything, so they'll still be running. Yes, that's the show I forgot to cancel. So for that show, I am going to make a lot more little things, a lot more toys, little decorative items. Right? That show, I think I'll probably sell, a bunch of 3D printed dragons, and that might be my weekend. And that's okay. And then that show in Chicago is a complete unknown. So it might be the best show ever or the worst show ever. Who knows? But the show in Minnesota will be a good show. Because we've done that. This is going to be our second year. But my product's been there with other vendors for, a decade. You'd think they'd spin better than they actually do. Because they dangle off the top here. There's so much more shaft here. Even with the little ones spin for a while. I should make some wooden tops. I really should. They're back to the barrel list. I started putting the little duplicator on the Rikon lathe. So eventually I'll get some templates made for the duplicator and go from there. Just a little Vega. I don't even think they're in business anymore. So I'm trying to kind of rebuild it and get it running again. So you can pretend you're on a boat. So it's got a cutter on the top, and then it's got a follower here. So you put a pattern in here, and then this will be like a stylus and it will follow it. So I need to beef it up. I haven't used this in probably 5 years. So, yeah. Right. Yeah, I don't have a touch sensor for mine. All right, I'm gonna let you guys watch TV. I will be right back. There you go. All right. Sorry about that. I checked the mail and got some coffee. All right, what did I miss? All right. I'll pretend this is not my fourth cup of coffee this morning.
Is it really? Wow.
Would you be willing to make some more coffee?
Huh?
Will you make some more coffee? That's all gone.
Are you sure you need more coffee?
I need more coffee. I won't stop until I burn a big hole in my stomach. I, I'm following David Grohl's advice.
You should do some tea instead,
Okay.
in between the coffee.
All right. Just takes all the fun out of life. Yeah, I've always been kind of product driven. Like, I know what I want to make, so I'll get the stuff to make what I want to make. So yeah, like the CNC machine, I'm giving myself, I'm cutting my teeth on it now. So I'm making a bunch of trays and stuff. But eventually I want to make spinning wheels. So I'm going to make a bunch of smaller stuff to figure out how to make the bigger stuff. So rather than jumping in with 2 feet, I'm just kind of dipping my toes in. So I'm going to cut my teeth on this machine and then decide if it's worth it to get a larger machine or not. Yeah, so this Purple Heart, if there's a scratch or something I need to get out, I'm not going to go with the grain, I'm going to go against the grain. Because if I go with the grain, by the time I get the scratch out, it's going to be burnt. See how dark that is? So I'll come back going against the grain, and then go back with the grain very lightly. Now you can always come back and hand sand as well. So the sander that Vicky has is variable speed. So if you turn the speed down, that'll help too. This one we're locked into, I think it's 3,750 RPMs. which is actually faster than the recommended speed for the discs. So. So this is, I don't know how to pronounce it, is it Catalox? It's Mexican ebony. This stuff is pretty. Get a drink of coffee here. Walnut. Black walnut. So if you guys are just tuning in, my name's Scott. I'm a woodworker from Wisconsin. So this is my day job. I'm a fiber tool maker or spindle maker. So my primary focus is making stuff for spinners, weavers, knitters, crocheters. Pretty much as much of the fiber arts community as I can. So we're going to swap this one out. So I'll go through and I will cut the sandpaper down to get rid of that frayed edge. So before I started streaming, I cut down a couple wheels, got them ready. So yeah, people love Purple Heart. This will get way darker with UV exposure. So when you're working with it, it loses its purpleness. This piece is pretty, you can tell it's Purple Heart. Sometimes it's brown. Yeah, so when I buy my exotic woods, I buy them in person most of the time. Sometimes Purple Heart can be, this stuff is very dense. Sometimes it can be very splintery. It changes from board to board, so. So I am going to be going back onto the scroll saw to cut more out. But I'm going to try to sand. This one has little wormholes in. There's another wormhole there. Yeah, as long as the wormhole doesn't interfere with the edge, it's more of a feature. I'll let you guys in a little secret. All trees have bugs. There's a lot of things living in a tree. You know, a lot of times it'll be in the sapwood, so it'll be on the outside of the tree. And now this piece has one, another one there, a couple on the bottom. Alright, so that wormhole right there is too close to the side here, so it creates a pinch point. So I'm going to set this aside. I'll probably fill it with CA glue and then sand over it. Same with that one. And then this one will be mine. Alright, back to the Vera wood. Yeah, so when I'm done with these, I got like 5 left. Then I'll hop over to the scroll saw. Yeah, it looks like the rest are all going to be Vera wood or Argentinian ligamente. So the next step after this would be weighing and laser engraving. So on the bottom, I would have my business name. Underneath that, the wood type. And then I would put the weight, both in metric and imperial, on the bottom. And then after that, they get a mineral oil base finish. So Bearwood has some interesting grain. Let me get it to focus on this. Well, focusing is not this camera's strong suit, I guess. Well, it's got little feathers in it. Yeah, so tomorrow I'll get the laser engraver going for the tops of the other ones and then get these weighed and dipped. And then I am taking Sunday off. Excuse me. That is the power of sawdust, my friends. What I did on Vicky is I put a piece of plexiglass over the top here to help catch the stuff that goes up. So I ordered a new stand for my Fordham that clamps on the table. So, yeah, in about a month I'm going to be rebuilding this whole table. sanding station. So I'll put in a downdraft table in the middle. Yeah, I'm going to do the engraving tomorrow. It's going to take a while because I'm going to be laser engraving across the top here. So... Hey Tom, this is a secular stream, so... That is I know, it's adorable. So yeah, Vicky found a little bit of the laminated wood that I made. She made a super, super mini. Just 2 inches. Alright. So I believe and then I got the box on top of the laser engraver too of the cherry mediums and full-size gliders for the deck the lights. So hey Kyler, we are making drop spindles. These are Turkish that are used to spin yarn. I'm just going to finish up my coffee here real quick, and then we're going to go over to the scroll saw and start cutting some more out. So I'm not using this exhaust anymore, so I can kill that. So, yeah, months ago, I had to order a new one of these remotes because they get full of dust, and I use a lot of paste wax, so that gets in here, and I'm like, I should really, you know, rather than order it all the time. Somebody suggested, why don't you just put it in a bag? So I just sealed a little bag. I didn't vacuum it. I should have vacuumed it. But yeah, so now I shouldn't have to replace this very often. I think I'm going to point you towards Vicky for a little bit, if that's okay with Vicky. So, maybe zoom out a little bit. Zoom out.
I can't see the chat, so
Yeah, she cannot see the chat. Do you want to see the chat?
If it's easy, you don't have to, but what's that? I figured I'll put the little minis up, so we don't have to take them. Yeah, show them.
Yeah. It might be, yeah,
Okay?
might be in your way.
Okay, we'll see. Okay.
There goes that.
All right. Oh, did it break? Oh no.
I think it just came apart.
Oh, okay. Well, sure, no problem. Okay.
All right.
Since I'm holding the, I could try it one-handed. Okay, got it. Ooh. That was a nice one. Okay.
There you go. Are you able to see it?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it's weird. No, I mean, I have to go around it. It's fine.
Man, I just want to use the bathroom.
Just go. I got it. Just go. Go. I got it. No worries. So this is some zebra wood. It's a little mini, like this one. So I found a couple of pieces that were a little bit too small for the, I think it's a 2.5 mini. The arms are 2.5 inches. So.
The sheep is centipede.
What?
The sheep is centipede. Like a human centipede. But
Oh, there's still, ew. No. Bad movie. Bad movie. If you haven't seen it, don't watch it. Because you can't unsee that stuff. Oh, horrible movie. So what what I'm sanding right now, I'll put it back together, is a Turkish drop spindle. It's a mini. So normally we do 2.5 inch wide arms. This is a 2-inch wide arms because it was a little bit, the piece of wood was a little bit too small to fit one of our normal minis, which is this size. So that's the normal one, and this is the little one. Just trying to use up as much wood as possible. Sometimes Scott doesn't like it when I do that. Then he has to redo stuff. He's got to resize the hole in the middle there. So show a finished one for reference. Well, that's a little one finished. And this is a little one unfinished. So I just basically knock off the corners, round over the edges, and sand it smooth. like a top for spinning. They're very different. Only because if you used it like a top, it wouldn't stay spinning on its own. It would just fall over. Let's see. I can show you the difference. Yeah, and watch, it's going to prove me wrong. So if I spin it on its own like a top, it doesn't it doesn't stay put. So no, not like a top. Let's see if I can do this way. So you have to, let's see if I suppose we don't have any fiber here, do we? So when using it like a spindle, hey, we do have lots of fiber. Check that out. So to use it as it's intended, this is kind of difficult to do it through. So I'm going to put a little bit over the hole, and then I'm going to poke it. Will allow me to draft. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling the fibers apart and I'm twisting the spindle to twist into my fiber. And then I'm going to do what's called a half hitch.
You spin yarn with it. It's like a spinning wheel. This came before the spinning wheel.
So then this is what it's intended for. So you just draw out the fiber and spin the spindle, and it'll put the twist in the single. And then just spin. Yep, so this is what's called a single. And then when I want yarn, I ply it. So I spin my single in one direction, and then I ply in another. Two different directions, actually. And so then this is a 3-ply yarn. It's very tiny. And that's what hand-spun yarn is. Yep. So these little itty-bitty ones are going to hold very little, less than a half an ounce. But people like the little spindles. I don't know why. But yeah, so that's the fiber. Yeah. They like to collect them. They like to collect the pretty stuff. And then, so you store it over 2, under 1, over 2, under 1, over 2, under 1. So you would build up your cop on the arms, and then when it got full, then you would take off the arms, take the little arm out of the big arm, and then slide the cup off. And then you put it back together and start all over again to create more yarn. So I spun up some, I don't even know what kind of fiber it was, but I had, I don't know, 10 half-ounce cakes. It was right around 4 ounces total, so maybe it was more like 8, I don't know. But yeah, it's a lot of little ones. So I finally finished the zebra one. So that one's done. Yeah, people like the ultralight ones. I think they come in at around 6 or 7 grams. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. We basically have to weigh each one so that we know what to laser engrave on the bottom. Yeah, isn't it cool? So when Scott told me that he wanted to make spindles for a living, and he explained what they were and what people do with them, I'm like, are you nuts? People still spin their own yarn? I thought he was out of his mind. And then he took me to Wisconsin Sheep and Wool, and I was blown away by how many people were at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool wanting to buy this sort of stuff. So it really amazed me. And small one easier for beginners? No, they are not. No, they are not. They are designed more for experienced spinners. So if you are a beginner, you want something like this, because you want a little more weight. You want something a little heavier so that it spins a little longer. The lightweight ones are not going to spin for very long, and you have to draft very fine. And typically when you first start out, drafting is a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? It takes practice to learn the drafting technique and the spinning and all that stuff. Oh, look at that. So, one more time. A little bit of fiber over the top. And so the reason I'm doing this is because it allows me to create my own leader. So I'm basically drafting again, I'm just spinning. Yep, that's fine. And so same thing here, I just twist, put my half hitch in. And so with the heavier spindle, I need to draft a thicker single, because the spindle is heavier, and it's also going to spin a little slower and much longer than the smaller one. I can't seem to, and because I'm an experienced spinner, it looks really fine, so I have to kind of get it to go a little thicker, and then I will show you what I was saying before. Go over 2 arms, under 1, over 2, under 1, over 2, under 1, to store the single on the arms. I'll see if I can get it to go a little bit thicker. I have to keep in mind that when I'm showing a beginner, you have to draft out a little bit more and not make it so tiny. Because when you're learning, most people don't draft really fine to start with. Not always. I've had a couple of people go, hey, look how fine this is. And it kind of shocks me. So yeah, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. And this is a standard. And the wood of the arms is maple. And then all the shafts are maple. Let's see, we got walnut there, and then it also comes in cherry. The standard is decent because, one, it's a lower price point. You know, and you're not, our gliders are exotic woods, so those are a little bit more expensive. We typically point people toward the standards because you're not forking out a ton of money. So this way, when you get the hang of it, if you want to buy a glider in the future, you can. And it's not like we don't discourage people from buying the gliders. The full-size glider is a great way to start out with. It's just that they're over $10 more than the standard. So, do you make things with the yarn you produce? Scott does, but I don't. I typically, so if I'm just spinning, you know, the white stuff here, which is the fiber that we sell, I don't typically do anything with it. You know, if it's for the show, we pretty much toss what we spin. If it's pretty stuff and it's soft stuff, and I take my time, I will give it away to our customers. If somebody wants some hand-spun yarn, I'll do it. And Scott's always like, why did you give it to me? And I'm like, I never even thought about that. And a couple of times, let's see, I think the last time I entered Wisconsin Sheep and Wool for spinning. I think did I win best in show for the last time? So yeah, it's pretty amazing. I was shocked that I actually won best in show. So several of the shows that we go to will have a skein competition, and you can spin on a spindle, or you can spin on a wheel. Yeah, it is a different category. I can crochet, I just choose not to. I haven't really made anything crocheting. I just kind of, I don't know, practice my singles or my doubles or whatever, you know. Okay, so this is leopard wood, the little spots. Okay, how did you rope me into this? Are you done? So I actually need to get this stuff finished so I can get it listed on our website. Because we need to sell stuff. Yes, it's update day because I didn't do an update last week, so I need to do one today. And yeah, so there's that. Goodbye, people.
Unless you want to keep going.
I don't, no.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Vicky.
You're welcome.
So, yeah. So originally I was just going to run to the bathroom, and then the printer ran out. So I ran out of the black filament that was in this one. So I wasn't paying attention and it jammed, so I had to heat it up really super hot and push through. And then I forgot to put my little PTFE tube back in, my little reverse Bowden tube. So we'll put that in when this one's done. The 108 sheep are looking good. In another 3.5 hours, we'll have a whole bunch of little sheep to put into here. There we go. Then the dragons, we have 4 hours left per. So I'm down to the last 4 rolls of the dichromatic filament. So I think we have 44 dragons made as of right now. So they are quite long. I think they're like 28 inches long. Alright, let's get on the scroll saw and cut up some stuff. Alright. Move the magnifier out of the way. Alright, so we have tiger maple. So you can see all the striping. It's hard to see under these lights. Yeah, the prints turn out pretty good. Yeah, and for the dragons, I've been using the dichromatic filaments, so it's 2 different colors. I think they sell better than the single colors. Like, who wants a pink dragon when you could have a pink and black dragon? Yeah, and I used to print a bunch of other toys, but yeah, not really what I want to be doing. But I am getting really good about hitting the camera. So that's good. Do a test bit with silk white. Cool. It's an option. I'm not wearing mine. I'm trying to stay motivated with the chat, so I'm not listening to the TV right now. Because I'm in one of those moods where I would just end up watching TV. Yeah, I've got some color changing filament that I will make some dragons out of as well. I think I need to make some more trays. Just a reminder, ghosts are real. Yes they are. Yes they are. Looks like they're in a prison again. Or mental ward or something. Yeah, you know, it's so silly. I'm paying for all these streaming services, and I'm watching Ghosts Are Real on the Roku channel.
What's that?
We're paying for, like, Amazon, and
That's it.
that's all we're paying for these days is Amazon. Well, we gotta add... Is it Hulu? Because I want to watch the rest of Ghosts. You know, the true story about somebody who can see ghosts. That's Paramount Plus. Yeah, and I want to see Ted. I want to see Ted.
Yes, Paramount Plus.
Is it?
I think so, yeah.
But you know, here it's background noise, so it's really not a big deal. And the worst part is, You know, I've got all these cheap little Roku TVs, but we're watching the Roku channel on the computer because we're streaming it to all the TVs. And I understand how insane it is to have all these monitors going, but it makes me happy. And to be honest, I have been really impressed by the wireless HDMI. There's like virtually no lag.
Right. Yeah.
When I bought it, I thought, using the headset, I figured the lips would be a little bit off, but not noticeable. Careful. Vicky's trying to break shit.
No, I got away from me. So that's the second time that it's kind of flown off. The first time it flew off, it literally flew like all the way over there, and I was like, it's at this point, if I lose something and it flies, if this place is so big, I'll never find it again. It's happened to me twice, and I found the one over there, and this one landed here, which is amazing.
That's okay, I dropped one arm twice in a row. Like, what? No way. That's pretty cool. You sound like Miley Cyrus. That's pretty cool. No, you sound like the chick from Saturday Night Live 5 years ago, impersonating Miley Cyrus. Have I ever made personalized wooden yo-yos as part of the toy stuff? I have made yo-yos. Actually, I've made some yo-yos rather recently. I just have to order some yo-yo strings. Yeah, I think I might make a few yo-yos for this show. I mean, it's like right up my alley. But as far as like the personalization go, yeah, you can buy bulk ones that are already made. Just throw them on a laser. So I was, how many times have I cut my finger on the saw by accident? I've been using the scroll saw since 1987. So I usually catch myself maybe once or twice a year. Normally it's when a blade breaks. The scroll saw itself makes Band-Aid type injuries, so it's not like I have to rush to the emergency room or anything. Basically, throw a Band-Aid on, put a finger cut on, and get back to work. Yeah, you'd think I'd cut myself more. So yeah, those open gantry style lasers, those little 5 watts. I'm getting really irritated with watching TikTok videos of people trying to sell them. Oh, this is great for a craft show. No, that'd be horrible for a craft show because it's not encased and people can see the laser and blind themselves with it. Not to mention you don't have any exhaust on that, so you're going to be spilling out a bunch of smoke into the atmosphere. So if your craft sale is outside and you cover it with a cardboard box, maybe. But yeah, I've got the X-Tool F1, so it's all encased, and I actually have the filter for it, which doesn't make sense to use the filter in this environment. I bent everything outside. That filter, they're expensive and they clog really easy. But yeah, something like that you can take to a craft show, and then you don't have to worry about blinding anybody or, pissing off your neighbors because it stinks. Yeah, I still got all 10 of my fingers. And all 10 of my toes. Not too bad. Take that, neuropathy. Yeah, I have a very standard reply for the cutting thing. So the cool thing about the scroll saw is that you can make internal cuts. Now, I'm curious if Vicky's coming back, because her sander's running and her exhaust is running. I was just like, huh. Maybe it was the end of days. Somebody came in here and told me that it's my time to repent and bring Jesus into my life. I thought maybe you got raptured. I wasn't paying attention. Maybe you disappeared. It does feel like the end of days, so maybe. Maybe. Hey, bro, welcome in. I feel very Indonesian saying bro. What's up, bro? Yep, so we are cutting 1/2-inch tiger maple on the scroll saw. What's that? That's what she said. That's what she said. Yep. The tiny ones are tiny. Hello, Abel. Welcome in. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but there's 5 fingers there, and there's 5 fingers here. So yeah, if you're just joining the stream, my name is Scott. Me and my partner Vicky, we run Snyder Spindles. This is our day job. This channel is a lot about beginner to intermediate scroll saw and like lathe projects. I'd like to add some laser engraving and 3D printing and a bunch of other stuff. But everything's kind of put on hold right now because we're getting ready for a bunch of shows. So once those are done, we'll get back into recording some full-length stuff. But yeah, I have been live streaming probably 5-6 times a week. I really don't have a set schedule. Usually it's in the mornings here. You know, right now it's noon. Sometimes it's later in the day. So if you like hanging out with me, my best suggestion would be to give me a follow and click the bell to be notified. I'm just not a schedule person. I can't do it. I appreciate it, Dion. So yeah, I try to stream for at least 2 hours. We're at 2.5 now. So we'll probably go for another half hour and then I'm gonna go have some lunch. Not sure what we're gonna have for lunch. So I got here so early that I got the air fryer going. So for breakfast I had pizza rolls. I haven't had pizza rolls in like forever. Hey G, welcome in. How's Carlos doing? So we're just verifying that the holes are centered. So I used to use I had a basically a screwdriver that had a 1/4-inch shaft that I used for years and years and years. And I just found it easier just to use a 1/4-inch rat tail bastard file. That way, if there is a little bit of resistance, it can take care of that. So these come in 3 different sizes. So we just did a full size, then a medium size, and then that mini. Look at the side, make sure that we're cutting square, which we are. Yeah. So scroll saws have very small blades. Now, if you force the blade, you can see I'm pushing how much it deflects. So if you're pushing real hard, you can actually cut at a bevel, like not on purpose. You know, this saw, you could tilt the saw and make a bevel cut. But if you want to be cutting square, you kind of have to take your time. Yeah, so think of a scroll saw as a just powered fret saw or powered coping saw. Originally, they were pedal powered, or some of them had hand cranks on when they were first made. So when these were first invented, they were marketed very heavily towards women and children. You could order mail order kits that had like pictures stamped on the wood, and then you would just cut around the outside edge. Yeah. A lot of woodworkers hate scroll saws. A lot of that has to do with the really inexpensive ones that take pin end blades only are not the easiest thing in the world to use. Hey, Andre, welcome in. So, and the blades are stamped out so they don't cut squarely. You'll find scroll saws that will have a miter slot in it, and then you can go through there, and it's the stupidest thing ever because this is not a bandsaw. It doesn't cut straight. So if I was going to cut straight, if I was going to cut a straight line, I'd have to run it at an angle to get that line because of the blade itself might have a little burr on the end. These are precision ground blades, so they cut a lot straighter than a lot of blades out there. But just having the ability to run that through, it's just not really what they're intended for. And it does take a little practice. So prior to making that stuff, I used to make a lot of like signs like this. I would make much bigger ones for weddings. Where you'd have the people's last names, the big ampersand in the middle. You know, something that you would use as a photography backdrop for the wedding. For pictures. Yeah. But I learned really early on that I was not built for weddings. I'll let somebody else deal with it. Made a lot of wooden toys. Much happier doing this, to be honest. Hey John, welcome in. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. I can see the chat. Hello, Rose's Creations. Welcome in. So we are making some sawdust this afternoon. I make it look a lot easier than it is. It takes some practice. The scroll saw definitely takes some practice. So yeah, I've been scroll sawing since 1987. Hello, D. Welcome in. I do have videos with a lot of helpful beginner scroll sawing tips. Oh, thank you so much. Oh yeah, I love spinning. Spinning is like spinning yarn is just like zen to me. And you know, I wind up with yarn, which is awesome. We are making Turkish style drop spindles that are used to spin yarn. So So this is what came before the spinning wheel. So this is my day job. This channel here is about, I do a bunch of tutorial and lessons about how to use this style saw and some other things. I'll do a project and then walk through making the project, and then I'll share the files for making the project. And then there's no restrictions on the files as far as don't sell the file, but yeah, you can go to a craft show and sell whatever I demonstrate. All right, so we just cut a mortise out. So we'll see if it'll fit together, if it slides through. You want a little bit of a gap in there, just because it's very dry right now because it's, it's still spring. It's going to get much more humid here, and then the wood will expand. So you always got to give yourself a little extra clearance. And with these, since they have this kind of big curve in it, it has to be bigger than the hole to get over the curve. But it also helps when you take it apart having that gap. So we're going to stick with the Turkish spindles, but we are switching designs. So these have all these internal cutouts. So, do I sell what I make? Yes, I do. So we sell these. We have an Etsy store. And then we also have our own website. We do some limited wholesaling. We don't do so much wholesaling these days, but like the people who, we've been doing this for 13 years, so the people who originally came in, I'm still wholesaling to them. I'm just not taking on a lot of new clients. And then we also sell at festivals. So, so a lot of sheep and wools, like Wisconsin sheep and wool. We're going to be doing an alpaca show coming up here. So, yeah. So I do a lot of demoing. All right. I will be right back in a couple minutes, guys. Drink a pot of coffee, Scott said. Well, there'll be no repercussions for that. What? Yeah, they're not great. They're better than being poked in the eye. That's about it. Stick with the Dots pretzels, huh? Stick with the pretzels. That's pretzels are pretty darn good.
Right.
Sorry about that. I am back. All right. Have fun haunting other people. Remember, ghosts are real. Hey, Masty. Welcome in, by the way, if you're still here. I'm just cutting the outside. All right, so I'm going to cut the outside edge. So I'm going to leave it like this, cut out these 4 internal parts, so I have more to grab onto. If I would cut out the entire thing, then I'd have just this little area to grab to. So. So I'm just going to take it from the top, drop it, falls through, we're cutting square. Yep, so these are the decos because they have a kind of an Art Deco feel to them. I actually designed these to be 3D printed. These were designed with Fusion 360. And even though I do 3D print them, I tend to sell more wooden ones. Since I designed these to be 3D printed, there's a lot of very straight lines. Cutting out straight lines is the hardest thing to do on a scroll saw. So this is something that I would not originally have designed to be made out of wood. If that makes any sense. And this is 5/8 inch hard maple. And then it looks like I got 2 boards, so 4 more that are cherry and 4 more that are black walnut. So we'll come and we'll cut the outsides. We'll do it just like this on all the other ones and then come back and separate them and then cut out that mortise. Black walnut. You guys can do me a favor and just double click on the screen. That will help with the algorithm to get more people in here. Or I guess you could keep me all to yourself. That's alright. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I would like to make a press statement and let people know that I had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein as well. Just what's going to be coming out that's so bad that Melania has to get in front of it. Hello. Hey, Jorge, welcome in. Nice to see you again. Oh, I missed Dan. Welcome in. Sorry about that. It's so exciting cutting these out. This is a scroll saw. So this is a Pegasus 21-inch scroll saw. It's just got a reciprocating blade on it. It's a double parallel arm saw, which I prefer. Yeah. They are fun. Yeah, yeah. Once you get the hang of them, they're awesome. There is a learning curve. It's basically a motorized coping saw or fret saw. What the big advantage of the saw is you can make internal cuts. So you can drill a hole, put the blade through the hole, and then clamp it back in. Yeah. Yeah, as far as like little craft stuff goes, yeah, scroll saws are awesome, Like stuff like this. Randall. Welcome in. So yeah, these are two separate arms. So we're cutting out these outside four right away. We're cutting that out. Then we'll cut these into two separate arms and then use this bottom arm to verify that hole is the correct size and then cut that out as well. And then these will go together. So that's basically a mortise. So I'm cutting the internal stuff out before we cut them apart so I have more to grab onto so they're not so small. Also, if something goes bad, you want it to go bad early in making something. So if I go off the line here, I'll be done and it won't be destroying it at the very last step. So this walnut cuts like butter. Not that I've ever cut butter on here, but... So this type of saw starts out at about $100, and that would be for like a little 16-inch that only took pin end blades. This takes plain end blades. So pin end blades have to be a lot bigger because they weld a little pin in, and then there'll be like a slot for the pin to go in. This only takes plain end blades. Someday we'll cut some butter, Tim. Someday. I'm like, yeah, this walnut's cutting like butter. Not that I've ever cut butter.
Right.
But if if things get really bad, we'll cut some cheese on it too. Look, I cut the cheese.
Right. Okay. Still good in the microwave.
Good.
In the refrigerator for 3 days, I think.
Did you soak it?
I did.
Nice.
I did.
It's good to hear.
Doritos from Taco Bell would be fine.
What's that?
Bean Doritos from Taco Bell
Yeah.
would be fine. This was either a 5-layer or something or whatever.
Right. And they make a whole bunch of different kinds of blades. They make jeweler blades. People cut coins with these as well. This is not a metal blade, obviously. It's a wood blade. I mean, yeah, I've used metal blades. I've cut through like, quarter 20-inch bolts with it. Not, if you don't have a hacksaw handy.
I realized you were offering me a soda, not water.
I was offering you a soda.
I'm like, no, I have water.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine if you want water. Yep, so we're going through a little more precise than a hacksaw. Yeah, but if you're cutting a bolt, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I don't cut a lot of metal on it, a lot of wood. Sometimes acrylic, whatever. Yeah, our Walmart had 12 packs of soda for zero sugar cherry Dr. Pepper for $5 a 12 pack. We don't drink a lot of soda anymore. It's just too darn expensive. Hey, Corrupted, how's it going? Welcome in. So when we do buy soda, we have it at the workshop, so it's like a little treat for, working. All right. Now we got cherry, also 5/8 inch thick. Right. Hey, Kay, welcome in. Yeah, Tim said, I don't know, I pay for a 24 pack of Coke, and I just don't put the whole case in the fridge, otherwise it'll be gone before you know it. Yeah, I hear ya. I just can't, $2.53 for a 20-ounce soda? What's wrong with you people? Hello, my friend. Welcome in. I'm not up on my Cyrillic, so I don't even know where to start with that. But I'll say Privyet. So I was talking about cheap scroll saws earlier. Like, you can get a 16-inch that only takes pinned end blades. These are plain, they're just straight. They make ones with pins through. A lot of times when you get those saws, you could buy an adapter so you can use a style blade, but you have to attach the adapter to the blade and then put it into the cheaper saw, and it just becomes real. It takes a long time, so you start making stuff without a whole bunch of holes in because it's such a pain to change the blade over. So the double parallel arm saws kind of took care of that. These start at about $250 for like a 22 inch saw. Like the Bauer, the one from Harbor Freight's like I think $280. It's a decent saw to start with. But yeah, $250 and up. This saw here is expensive. When I bought it, it was around $1,000. I'm not sure how much they're charging for them now. I try not to look at prices and stuff. Now that the tariffs have kind of been poo-pooed on, as far as the insane tariffs go. But yeah, might be a little bit more. Hey, Stay, welcome in. Yeah, I did a review of the Bucktool 16-inch double parallel arm saw. That's a good saw. That's $350. Unfortunately, I did the review before Christmas for them, and then they were importing a bunch, and I assume they wound up sitting in a warehouse because they were coming from China, and the tariffs were just crazy. So I think they waited until the tariffs got shot down before they imported them, which makes total sense. They're in stock now. You can get them on Amazon. Great saw for the money. Hello. Welcome in. So yeah, over the last couple of years, there's a company called Chansen out of China, and they're making the Bauer saw, they're making the Bucktool saw, they're making the new double parallel Rikon. They're also making saws for King, which originally was like a Taiwanese saw like this one. So I don't know if patents ran out or what's going on, but they're making a very nice saw at a much lower price. Like Delta and DeWalt have gotten really, really expensive for their nicer saws. So. Hey Charles, welcome in. They're also making a bunch of saws for other people as well. That's kind of how things work these days. You know, just because you're buying something that has a brand name on it, more than likely it's made by somebody else. That's it's been that way for a long time. So a lot of times, like if you're looking at like the Bauer saw, sitting next to like say the buck tool saw, coming out of the same factory. The buck tool one will have holes in the front, have kind of a dust collector that the Bauer doesn't. But you're talking about $350 compared to $280. But a lot of that price difference is warranty stuff. You know, you go to Harbor Freight, you're going to buy something that you're going to pay for an extended warranty just in case it breaks. And if you pay for the extended warranty, it's going to be basically the same price as like the buck tool, which gives you a 5-year limited warranty. So that's kind of the whole, you know, you're paying for the warranty. Yeah, like these saws are coming out of the same factory as like Seiko and Excalibur and more of the higher end saws. So. So I bought this saw in 2022, have not had any real serious issues with it. I have had to go through and tighten things up. I've had to rebuild this chuck a couple times, just normal wear and tear kind of stuff. And I do production work, so I'm on this saw for long periods of time. But when I do project videos, I tend to do them on the less expensive saws because I don't want people to feel like they have to, you know, drop $1,000 on a saw, you know, just starting out. You know, well, yeah, he can do this because he's on this, you know, expensive saw, and that's just not the case. You know, I'm not against, you know, little $100 16-inch saws. You know, they're going to be more of a pain in the butt to use because of the whole blade thing. But if that's all you can afford to start out with, that's great. I mean, I have made, you know, a lot of things on very inexpensive equipment, and just realize that it's going to be something you're probably going to outgrow if you decide this is what you like. You know, if you pay $100 for it and you use it, you know, once in a while, you know, cut out a duck to give to a little kid or something, that might be all you need. Hey, honey. I know you just had a burrito. Oh, she's got her headphones on. Cool, we can talk about her then. So I'm thinking about making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then scrambling an egg, and then dipping it in an egg, and then frying it up like French toast. Does the world need peanut butter and jelly French toast? I'm not sure. Yeah, I renamed the device. What's it called now? What's our laser called on the computer? It's the pew-pewinator.
No.
No, what is it? What's it say?
I don't know. Hold on, give me a minute. I gotta figure out what that last word is. I'm like,
Oh, the pew-pew machinas. That's what it was.
there's no S on the end of that.
Okay, it's the pew-pew machina.
Okay, what is that?
It's machina is machine in Espanol.
Okay.
So it's machine in Spanish. So it's the
Okay.
pew-pew machine. I'm sorry.
I'm like,
Hey, Louis, how's it going?
apparently my Spanish is extremely rusty.
Yeah. Yeah. My Spanish is horrible. I have no money to.
You know what the
No,
Spanish word for machine is?
yes. Yeah. Mucho trabajo. Much work.
Right?
Yeah. I haven't used Spanish in a long time. You know, when I worked at Oshkosh, very rarely. When I worked at Quad, yeah. There was a lot of people who didn't speak English, which was fine. I was actually lucky enough to I was the first operator. My second operator was bilingual, so kind of worked out really well for me, except for that they would take her away to translate a lot. Yeah, I'm in Wisconsin, and yeah, we get a lot of Texans up here working. Alright, so we separated these arms. For some reason, that lens just loves sawdust. Alright, so we're just going to lay that across. I'm just going to mark in. Looks like those are good. Let's go to the outside of that line. Alright. So now we're going to cut out this mortise here. Huh. My stand just dropped down a peg. Weird. All right, we're gonna check to see if it fits. Now, I prefer to, it's a little bit snug from top to bottom. I like to be very pessimistic, so I'll make it too small. I can always make it bigger. I can't make it smaller. So you need a little space, but you don't want too much. Yeah. That's much better. Just take off just a hair more. So I'm talking about like taking off like a 0.5 millimeter. Yeah, with the blade. That's as much as I took off. And then there would be a 8-inch shaft that comes up through the middle there. Cool. We've got one done. Sorry guys, it's been almost 3.5 hours. So this style here, it's called a deco because it's very Art Deco influenced. At least that's what I thought it was when I made it, when I designed it. Like I said, I did design this to be 3D printed. That's why it's got so many straight lines on it. 3D printers love straight lines. Scroll saws do not. The hardest thing to cut on a scroll saw is a straight line. Curved lines are what it's all about. Need a little bit more room from the top to the bottom. Let's go a hair more yet. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you guys want to double click on the screen, if you're watching it on a tablet or phone, that will help the algorithm to bring more people in. So apparently I'm good for streaming for 3.5 hours. After that, it's just all downhill. Well, we got a bunch of sanding done. That's good. I think we're gonna just get one more of these cut out, and then I'm gonna call it a stream. I'm starting to get hungry. And the last thing we want is a cranky diabetic guy. Hey Ed, welcome in. Peel the pattern off. I like to use blue painter's tape and then glue the paper pattern to the top. And the reason why I use blue painter's tape rather than just masking tape is a very similar color to a lot of wood. So sometimes you won't see that you have any tape on that, and then you go to sand it and you make a big sticky mess. So, even though the blue painter's tape is not inexpensive, it's what we use. I like it. And that way I don't get any residual glue on the wood. I used to just use spray adhesive and glue the pattern directly on the wood. And then you would dissolve it with mineral spirits. Hey, welcome in. But then you wind up with, you're playing with mineral spirits. It's very flammable. And, I would just keep it in a spray bottle and just mist the top. But you end up getting mineral spirits all over your hands. You don't want that in your body. At least I don't. I was always scared I was going to be, get allergic to it. And even low order mineral spirit stinks. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. If you like the stream, feel free to give me a follow. Click the bell if you want to be notified when we're going on live again. I tend to stream usually about 5-6 times a week. I really don't have a set schedule, and I don't have a set time either. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys next time. And remember, be nice to people. It's not that hard.